Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tippedballs podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined by my two extremely eager co-hosts. To my right, it's the one, the only, Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And to my left, it is none other than our very own Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
Blessed.
And behind the computer, making us all look and sound very beautiful, as always, it is Bruce, the tugboat, Venditti.
Howdy.
Bruce, how are you today?
Quite all right.
Quite
You?
all right.
How are you doing?
I came to you first today.
Nobody ever asks how you're doing.
Nobody asks how I'm doing because nobody really gives a fuck.
How
I
are
think
you
I
doing?
pulled that gag before.
Did you?
I think, yeah.
You've asked me how I'm doing?
Yeah, one time.
Yeah.
I flipped it on you.
I don't even know how I'm doing.
It was last summer.
I don't even know how I'm doing today. Uncle Sam, how are you doing today?
Terrific. Living the dream. Life is good, and so is God.
Anything good happen today at work?
No.
Sanding, burning,
No, I
stapling?
don't want to talk about work.
That's it?
Unless
No.
you want to watch me go off on a fucking tangent and mass murder.
No.
That's up to you.
No, we'll pass on.
Did you bring a gun today?
We'll pass on the
Huh?
mass murder.
Did you bring a gun today?
Don't need it.
Got two attached to my
No, he's clicking.
Forearm.
He's clicking his pen.
Oh,
That's his
he's
weapon. All
pen. Zolo, how are you?
right, I'm here.
We have a very, very exciting interview coming up in just a few minutes. I can't wait. I'm very excited to get into that. But first,
this is one interview that I think we'll all cherish this and remember this years from now.
100%.
Because I think this is probably the biggest interview we've ever had.
So to date,
This is the one we're going to look back on and be like, remember that one, the one that started it all?
you see that?
yeah.
You see that? You remember those days?
When we're interviewing presidents and shit in a couple years,
Yeah.
we're going to look back on today's interview and say, this is the one.
Well,
This is where it all began.
funny enough, as much as this is a football show, it's also a meat show. And last night during our prep session for said interview, we indulged in some barbecue. And I know I've shouted them out on this show before, but I want to shout out Full Rack Barbecue of St. Clair Shores, Michigan. I want a full barbecue review before we get into this interview because the meat, so to say, of this show should always be meat. We had brisket. We had sausage. We had jalapeno cheddar sausage. We had pulled pork. We had ribs. We had coleslaw. We had baked beans. We had potato salad. We did it all. Unfortunately, I didn't eat the potato salad because I don't really do potato salad. But I want to know what
eggs in it.
it was real eggy looking.
You don't eat eggs?
I don't eat any eggs.
Are you allergic or you just don't like them?
It's a mental block. Like I'll do the furthest I'll dabble into eggs is French toast.
What about eggs in your
seen
fried rice at Benihana's?
Egg.
I prefer it without, and I pick around.
Go ahead, Bruce. What were you fucking mumbling
So
over
I've
there?
never seen him even attempt to eat an egg.
We tried this a couple years ago. I took a bite of a hard-boiled egg. It immediate, yeah.
Well, you can't
Even
do
if it's
that.
around,
You
it
can't
was
bite into a
immediate,
hard-boiled egg. Listen, have you ever had like deviled eggs before?
Can't do it.
Well, what about with ketchup?
Can't do it. Scramble with ketchup. Tried it. Hot sauce.
Is it a
all of
taste
can't do it.
thing, a texture thing?
It's just a mental block. It's like I can't get past the fact that this thing just falls out of a chicken's ass, and then I can do a hot dog, which I know is snout and ear and whatever the fuck. That don't bother me. For some reason, the egg bother. I'm weird with texture too.
Yeah, okay.
I just can't.
That's
the
fine.
The smell
That's fine.
fucking repulses me.
In fairness, I am a very picky eater. I just started eating a lot of cheeses over the last couple of years. It was like a post-pandemic thing. I still won't eat like goat cheese or it's just time and a place on goat cheese. I'll have it
In a
sometimes.
salad. Yeah.
Depends. It's gotta be with beets. It's gotta be paired with beets. But I won't eat cottage cheese.
No.
I struggle with any cheese that smells like feet.
Yeah.
There's another cheese I won't eat. I can't think. Oh, blue cheese, no chance.
No blue cheese.
No chance.
No
Mold.
cottage. No blue
Love fucking blue.
And I don't eat fish.
at all. Crab, lobster, shrimp.
I'm trying to get into lobster. It's been a work in progress. I will eat fresh seafood from the right restaurant. If I'm in a Michelin star restaurant, I don't give a fuck what's in front of me.
It's going down.
Yeah. And
Sushi.
you want to
I
know where
don't
I
eat
struggle
bait.
with the sushi?
I don't eat bait.
You don't eat bait. Fair.
No.
You want to
Sushi
know
is bait.
where I struggle with the sushi? The seaweed. Tastes like the sea.
It does.
And I don't like that.
Funny enough.
And I don't like that. I'll eat octopus. I love octopus. It's a recent thing.
That's a sea creature you'll indulge in.
Yeah, which is crazy because
What
no
about
one else.
I like squid more than octopus.
Oysters are a recent thing. I don't love them. I'm trying to learn to love them. I douse those fuckers with any hot
Oh,
sauce. That's
You have to.
The hot sauce, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like eating a gritty
Or not
snot.
even like I want to get. My mom makes oysters Rockefeller all the time.
Fantastic.
I want to get into that. I'll eat anything fried. So if it's calamari, like I'm getting a lot better about that.
I
love
can't do calamari.
fair.
Love it.
Can't do it.
Do you eat octopus?
You know,
Can't do it.
your great grandma used to make calamari in a broth, like a soup, and grandma utterly hates it. But I used to love that shit.
Did you?
That was delicious.
Outside of the seafood, the barbecue.
Okay.
You're as close to a pit master as they come.
Well, I don't know about that, but I've eaten a lot of barbecue in my day.
How
A lot
did
of
this
barbecue.
stack up?
He said it was good.
I thought it was. I liked the sausage that they had. I thought
Sausages
that
were
was tasty. It was good. You know, the brisket was decent. Listen, their barbecue was as good as barbecue you're gonna have around here. I thought.
I was just gonna say, and I want you eat like I do. You eat like a pig like I do around here.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow smoke up anyone's ass. I'm not here to do that.
No.
Have you had better barbecue, not just around here, but in Michigan, barbecue better than Full Rack?
Okay. So I struggle with this because I think Slows is overrated.
Really?
Extremely overrated.
Slows is only
The
good.
Boneyards is better than fucking Slow.
I agree
the
with
Boneyard
that. Boneyard's better than Slows.
is
Slows,
not-
Bruce, is only good if you are white and you've never left Metro Detroit before. That's the only time Slows is good.
I agree with that.
I'm Italian and I've left Metro Detroit. So Slows is not good.
Listen, you're not going to get like
Slows and Famous Days.
I like
Slows,
the
that's-
amount you get.
Famous
Not
Daves.
necessarily. I mean, it's good.
Why would you even utter
You
that?
get it slow.
What do you mean?
I still think Slows is expensive. I'm not going to chain.
Famous Dave's ain't bad. It's not bad. I like Full Rack
If
better.
you're gonna eat Slows, you eat Famous Dave's.
I'm not eating. I'm gonna abstain from eating either. If you don't.
Listen,
mind.
Lockhart's overrated as well.
I think Lockhart's is okay. It's better,
better
than
than
Slows and better than Famous Dave's.
Okay. The only other place that I would consider in the mix for me would be Bad Breads.
Bad Breads.
Bad Breads.
Which I don't think is better than.
I don't know if it's better than Full Rack.
It's not better than Full Rack.
They have more gimmicky shit like the candied bacon and
the nachos.
blondie,
Bad
the
Brad's nachos is pretty good.
The nachos are
It's different. Can you get brisket at Bad Brad's? Can you get like actual?
I think so.
I don't wanna-
90% sure I've had.
I don't want to mess with. Okay. I judge like brisket's a recent thing for me. I've like recently I seek brisket. It might be one of my favorite cuts of meat, and it's just garbage.
Yeah.
But I love brisket. I also love ribs, and I can
Anything
eat
smoked
ribs.
is gonna be better than
Of course.
anything else you're gonna eat.
I also love ribs, and I can eat ribs like 10 different ways. They could be smoked. They could be dry rubbed. They could be slathered in barbecue sauce. They can be the real tough ones from
Rubbed
Mama
and
Rosa's.
slapped,
gonna say.
slapped in sauce.
They could be which one slathered sauce?
Rubbed and slapped.
Yeah,
in sauce.
yeah.
That's my
both. The
favorite.
hybrid. They could be really fatty, chewy, which I love. They could be fall off the bone. I love ribs 10 different ways. I love Full Rack's smoked ribs in the way
fall.
they're good. They fall apart.
I will say the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. We're going to give a shout out to Steve Bennett here. Okay? I was in Nashville.
baby.
I was in Nashville. And it was at some fucking gas station about 40 minutes south of Nashville. The guy, a truck and a smoker behind a gas station. And it was the most beautiful, perfect barbecue experience I've ever had in my life. The mac and cheese was in the smoker. Everything. All he had was a fucking smoker. So everything you were eating was coming out of the smoker. And I don't know what kind of weird Tennessee magic went into that meat, but it was just so, it's like just so vividly imprinted in my head. That was
actually the meat, or was it the fact that it was meat that you liked from the back of a gas station?
Listen to me.
No.
It's just
No,
just better now.
because think one of the best hamburgers around here in this part of the world came from a gas station. It's
That's true.
it's Tasty Burger, and literally just saw an article. I can't remember where it was, but there's a gas station burger in New York that's blowing everyone out of the water right now too.
I saw that.
The
I saw it on
best,
TikTok, I
best
think.
barbecue I've ever had. I was driving down a side street in Detroit, and there was this old old African-American gentleman cooking ribs. My Lord. Best barbecue I've ever had.
The roadside ribs.
The roadside ribs.
Speaking of
I went
Detroit
over
ribs,
there.
exactly.
That guy's like, how many bones you want? I was like, give me as many as you can get in that little fucking thing you got there. So he went whacking me some off. And man, I was just like in awe. This guy's food was amazing. He told me it was $10. I gave him fucking $50. Best barbecue I've ever had. That was years ago. And my man was cooking that shit in a 55-gallon steel drum with an exhaust pipe hanging out of it. Best barbecue I've ever had.
That's it.
It wasn't
Less is
Bert's
more.
by any chance, right?
Huh?
It wasn't Bert's by any chance.
No.
was
This
it?
was
No,
actually like
They
this
got
is
a
some
side-
guy just on the side of the road cooking barbecue.
Because I was going to say the Bert's ribs are actually better than Slows and anything like that too. The Bert's ribs are excellent.
So I know you don't venture this way too often, but like between here and Outer Drive where I work, in the summer, if you catch good days, you will pass 3 dudes, literally
Cooking.
on the side of the road
Cooking.
selling barbecue.
on the
out
way
of the
home,
road.
bring some
best.
one day on the way to a show.
Yeah,
That's the
Bring
best.
some.
yeah.
shit.
The only
down.
thing you gotta do is make sure you got some wipes in the car,
Yep.
some wipes,
cash.
and a 38, and you're all set to go. So nobody steals your barbecue. You gotta be
My-
careful, dude. You can kill some barbecue over here.
My two of the best barbecue places I've ever had. I'll just give them one in the sake of time, but Action Bronson used to have the show on Viceland called "Fuck That's Delicious," and he would it was like diners, drive-ins, and dives, but like the dives were in there. Like he would actually go to the places you don't know about. And this place I'm about to name has been on a lot of shows. It's called the Willie Mae Stotch House in New Orleans. And it's the best barbecue. Same box as you checked out. I don't eat cornbread. It's the best cornbread I've ever
I
had.
love cornbread. Oh my God.
The mac and cheese, the green beans and the collard greens,
Oh,
the ribs, the fried chicken, the whole
And I'm
nine,
gonna
the
give you
brisket.
another person that I personally know that makes outstanding barbecue. D-Row Butler. Shout out to Heavy D.
Shout out Heavy D.
My man Heavy D.
Longtime
That
friend.
guy, his food is exceptional. His barbecue is exceptional.
okay. If anybody's still watching now that we just went on for 20 minutes about barbecue,
Okay.
we needed to get that out of the way. That was like pent up aggression that we needed to get out. But now we have something better than barbecue, and that is a sit down with Scott Hanson. And without further ado, here you go.
Is this thing on?
Well, if you guys can't tell by that voice, this is none other than RedZone host and all-around great guy, and also born in the city of Detroit, the man, the myth, the legend, 7 hours of commercial-free football. It is Scott Hanson.
Sam, Sal, Zolo, good to be with you boys. Good looking set right there too. I'm impressed.
It's been a work in progress, but we this is our first season doing it the right way, I would say. So we're
That
real
is
happy
a
with the way it's turning out.
Man cave, capital M, capital C.
That's it, yeah. And if you're ever back in the city, I know you were here for the draft, but if you're ever back in the city, you need to stop by and see us. Do a little shot. Obviously not on a Sunday,
Yep.
but I kind of wanted to jump right in.
Yeah,
First
please.
things first, and we're gonna throw it way back here. So I myself am a De La Salle graduate. Zola
Respect.
went to Star of the Sea.
Okay.
Our producer behind the cam, who I forgot to introduce to you, that's Bruce back there. He went to St. Joan of Arc. So the Archdiocese of Detroit is represented extremely well here. With you attending Bishop Foley back in the 80s, did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that you would be covering the NFL in the way that you do today, hosting RedZone, and be a household name for football fans everywhere on Sundays?
No, I mean, I don't think I thought that. I think I dreamed that. I did. My friends will tell you, my high school buddies, my grade school buddy, my brother will tell you that he thought I was going to be a sportscaster from the time we were little kids. And about mid-high school, going to Madison Heights, Bishop Foley, growing up in Rochester, Michigan was my hometown, but I would drive down to Madison Heights for high school. About midway through my high school football career, I was like, well, the good Lord didn't bless me to be 6'5", 250, running a 4.5 40. So if I'm going to be in football for my career, it's going to be off the field. And so I thought about becoming a coach or becoming a broadcaster. And I always saw the guys on TV and I'd be like, man, let me get this straight. Those guys get paid money to fly around, get the best seats in the house, and they get to describe all the excitement to everybody. Sign me up for that. And so to be here, just a kid from suburban Detroit and being the voice of people's NFL Sundays, it is an absolute professional thrill.
So why did you pick Syracuse over other colleges? I assume there's a Newhouse element to it, of course, but were there any other options? Were there any local options like Michigan or Michigan State? Why was it Syracuse?
Yeah, it's a great question. For those who don't know in your audience, Syracuse University has back then and probably still today what's considered to be the premier public communications school in the country, broadcasting, broadcast journalism, and in particular at Syracuse, sportscasting. Bob Costas, Dick Stockton, Marv Albert, Mike Tirico, Len Berman, Sean McDonough, the list goes on and on and on, all went to Syracuse University. So that's why I went there, because I heard some of the greats that I saw and watched on TV went there. And I'm like, if they got that education there, I'm going to try and do the same thing. Local options, Wayne State University.
There we go. The Warriors
Was the one school that gave me a full ride scholarship. I was a decent football player. I was captain of my team and I was all conference and stuff like that, nowhere near all state, but I was good. And Wayne State offered me a half athletic, half academic scholarship. And so I went, down and toured the school, toured the facilities and whatnot. I was so flattered to receive wow, I could play college football here and they really want me here. I looked at going there. If I would have stayed in state, though, I would have tried to end up at the University of Michigan. We grew up mostly Wolverine fans in my house, season tickets to the big house in Ann Arbor. So I was a maize and blue kid from the time I was born. But I still love the Wolverines. But I knew where I wanted to go to school, and I knew I wanted to focus on a specific education for broadcasting, and Syracuse was the answer. Yeah.
You played football at Syracuse?
I did. I walked on the team. So I was a level of player that I would have played at Wayne State, but Syracuse big time Division 1A, or what it was called 1A back then. I walked on the team and played for 4 years and went to 4 bowl games. We won all 4, 4-0, baby. And my senior year, 1992, you can Google it, we finished top 10 in the country.
There you
number
go.
5 in one poll, number 6 in the other poll. Yep.
Who's the most famous player you played with or against?
Well, the most famous player I played with or against some interesting guys, but the most famous player I played with is a man whose name has been in the news for about the last year or two, even though his playing days are long gone. Marvin Harrison, senior.
Yes,
Marvin Senior was a freshman when I was a senior, and I was on the scout team being a walk-on scrub. I was still on the scout team, giving a look to the first and second string players, getting them ready for the game on Saturday. Marvin was a skinny little beanpole freshman out of suburban Philadelphia, and I would be a wide receiver on the scout team often. I'd go wherever they needed me, wide receiver, defensive back. They would throw me in defensive line if they wanted to throw fresh meat in there. They would put me wherever. But I'd be a wide receiver a lot of times, and on a 2 wide receiver set for the scout team, it would often be SCOTT HANSON and Marvin Harrison over here.
That's
and
awesome.
I saw Marvin, when I got into NFL media and I got to go to games and whatnot, and I would see him warming up during his Colts days. And I'm like, I'd hold up the NFLNetwork microphone flag. This is before RedZone, when I was a roving reporter. And I'd be like, hey, Marv, I made it to the NFL after all these years. And I said, and I'm going to be here a lot longer than you will be too.
Oh.
he had a good laugh at that. And
Wow.
he was awesome. I know we don't have a ton of time, but I could tell you some Marvin Harrison stories. Played against, I only lost to 2 quarterbacks. I say our team, my senior year, I lost to 2 quarterbacks. Gino Torretta, who won the Heisman Trophy and wasn't even the best player on his team, the Miami Hurricanes of 1992, let alone the best player in the country, although he won the Heisman. That team had Warren Sapp on it. That team had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on it, played against him. We lost to Gino Torretta and the Miami Hurricanes, and the only other quarterback that beat me in my senior year, a little known guy named Kirk Herbstreit. Herbie, we played Ohio State my senior year in the Carrier Dome, what was then called the Carrier Dome, at Syracuse. We had beaten Ohio State the year before. Then they came to our place and shocked us in the Dome. Those were the only 2 games that we lost in my senior year.
Well, we might have to take you up on some of those Marvin Harrison stories. We might have to have you come back just so we can talk, a little locker room talk about some of the stories from those days. But
Sure.
I wanted to know what happened after Syracuse. What were some of your stops along the way between Syracuse and obviously the NFL Network? And what led you down the path to getting to the NFL Network, as you said, as a roaming reporter at first?
Yeah, well, can I be Detroit and Michigan specific for a moment?
Of course.
Go ahead.
You guys would love that. So in college at Syracuse, I got summer internships back in Detroit at WXYZ ABC 7 Action News under Don Shane. Now the late great Don Shane. Don was the sports director there, and I was his summer intern for 2 summers, and I learned an invaluable amount. Don's enthusiasm was the same when we'd be watching John Sally and Dennis Rodman on a fast break as rookies for the Pistons, and they'd have a slam dunk, Sally handling the ball at like 7-1 and dishing off to this kid from Southeast Oklahoma State that nobody knew that was a big ball of energy, Rodman, for a slam dunk. And we were like, these 2 are rookies and they're doing this, Don would have the same reaction at whatever, 8:06 p.m. when it happened in the game that he would have when we showed the highlight on the 11 o'clock news at WXYZ ABC 7. And I learned that much. I'm like, that man is so on point. He shares with that enthusiasm with the audience, and he can recreate it even though it's hours after the game. So I learned a tremendous amount there. And then my first stop, my first paid TV gig was at WPBN in Traverse City, Michigan, baby.
Cherry country.
And we used to joke WPBN stood for Paul Bunyan Network, because like if you guys, know Northern Michigan, I mean Traverse City has a metro area, but the whole rest of the outside there, the great God's country up there is where Paul Bunyan would have grown up. And so that's where I cut my teeth at the NBC station in Traverse City, Michigan, doing the weekend sports reports back in 1994. Woof.
Wow. 1994.
Traverse City, man.
Yeah.
It
was good. It was good times. Although the station was, shockingly enough, the station didn't have a robust budget, and the crew vehicles. These were the vehicles we would take out when we would go do our stories. Like if I had Friday night high school football, I'd have to get to Lake City and Manton and, Glen Lake and wherever else to go shoot some high school football. I was on camera, but I was also the camera guy. I was a one-man band.
Oh, wow.
The crew vehicles that they sent us out with were, do you guys remember Yugos?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember the vehicle Yugo? For those who don't know, it's about smaller body size than the Prius, but without all the, fancy enhancements that we have nowadays. Because they used to say, if you got into a car accident with it, you go straight to the morgue. You don't stop at the hospital.
Yeah. No, that thing was
it was a
that was a death
disposable
trap.
car.
Yeah.
It was a disposable car.
And try driving that in northern Michigan when you're wearing snowshoes and snow boots for 4 months out of the year. Like it was crazy.
Wild.
It was crazy. But hey, it was my first paid gig. I made all my mistakes. I got the reps. I was able to build a resume reel that got me onto some of my other stops, which, if you want to know, included Springfield, Illinois, the state capital of Illinois, Tampa, Florida, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and now here in Los Angeles, from where I'm speaking to you from, can I, for the audience who's watching, not just listening, from the shadow of
SoFi.
Can you see that? That's SoFi.
Yeah.
Stadium.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sam and I have
NFL
both been to
media
SoFi.
headquarters. Yeah, it's a little dark, but anyway,
That's a great view.
yeah, we Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, owns all this land here and built us a brand new facility, which he charges the other 31 owners in the NFL rent because they all own 1/32 of NFL media, and put it right next to that $5 billion stadium that he built 100 yards from here. Yeah.
Speaking of that new studio, while we have you, tell us about that fire alarm that went off last year.
Oh, that was the craziest thing he stood in there and he stood through it when the place was supposedly on fire. Just the commitment was unmatched, truly.
It was DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. The show goes on. Yeah, the fire alarm. And that actually had to do with the fact that we do have a state-of-the-art facility here because I learned this after the fact. Our fire alarms or our smoke detectors are not actually purely smoke detectors. They are air displacement detectors. In fact, well, since I'm wireless here, let's see. There's one right up there on the ceiling right there where apparently, fire detectors work on there's something burning, which emanates smoke, which sets the alarm off. That's what we've known ever since we were little kids, right? These air displacement things, they can catch any air displacement that's not like carbon dioxide out of someone's mouth or something. So I won't get into all the details, but it was not smoke that was actually being emanated that set the alarm off, but it was something that displaced the air, and the alarm had never gone off in the whole building before outside of like a test. And so what they didn't realize is that, it's going to go off in the studios too. And it happened to go off during the last hour of RedZone, which caused an international stir and sent us viral across social media. But it wasn't a false alarm technically. The alarm did its job. It was just there were some things that went wrong. It was Murphy's Law. Everything that went wrong did in that time. And we nearly had to evacuate. But no one was ever in danger, and all's well that ends well.
You stood in there the whole time. And that was awesome. I wanted to change course here just a touch. It's come out that there's going to be a gold zone this year for the Olympics, kind of like a red zone style sport to sport situation for the Olympics. Can you explain 100% how that's going to work, and how do you learn everything that you need to know for all these Olympic athletes and all the different games, and just what is that experience going to be like?
Yeah, I'm a little daunted by it, to be honest with you. I'm excited to be doing it. I'm partnering with NBC Sports. They really, really wanted me to be a part of this, being the RedZone guy. They wanted the RedZone guy to host Gold Zone. And so, yeah, Paris Olympics, baby. 39 sports, multiple disciplines under each sport, more than 200 countries, more than 10,000 athletes. Yushislava Skidishvili being the backup water polo goalie for the Turkish squad. I hope I get his name right.
You're already ready to go, it sounds like.
Well, that's because I just made that up, actually. So,
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to try and create the RedZone viewing experience for the Summer Olympic audience. And what I'm particularly excited about is they're telling me that I will be on this is going to be on Peacock, streaming on Peacock, NBC's streaming service. So get your subscriptions today. I'm going to be on for about 5 hours during what will be prime Olympics time in Paris. So Eastern time, we're going to be on like probably 9 a.m. Into the afternoon. And there'll be live events going on there when if you watch big NBC at night, when they come on prime time, 8 o'clock in the East, it's going to be past midnight in Paris. They're not going to have live events. Most of them will not, it won't be almost anything live. So we'll get those cutting edge moments, when bronze turns to gold and gold turns to bronze, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I'm excited, but yeah, a ton to study. The amazing Olympic researchers at NBC Sports have been sending me emails with attachments for the past few weeks that are hundreds and hundreds of pages of, athlete bios, sport breakdowns, the expectation for the American team in any given discipline, how they think we'll do, pronunciations, a thing called relative awe, which is describing to the audience a sport in terms they can understand. For instance, you're watching archery. Okay, everybody knows, shoot it into the bullseye. But what you're watching is this guy is trying to shoot 2 football fields away and hit a target that is the size of a quarter, or whatever the actual, to put it tangible, to make it tangible to the audience as to what they're really watching and how impressive it really is. So yeah, pray for your boy, because what do you guys know about Bahrain handball?
Never heard of it.
Nothing. I can point Bahrain out on a map. I still don't know the rules of handball, and I've seen.
You're probably ahead of the game if you can do the former.
Yeah.
Real quick, we have a schedule release that should be today. We're a little angry that it's not today. We have a schedule release coming out in 6 days now. So, what are some matchups that you're looking forward to next year?
Oh man, I don't dive into the schedule until it comes out. I mean, that sounds duh, but we already know the matchups, of course. We know the interconference matchups, and obviously we know the divisional matchups, but we know the crossover opponents. I got to be honest, week 1 of NFL Red Zone, when the schedule comes out, the first place I'm going to look is week 1 and how many of those first round quarterbacks do we get in that initial early window to hit into the octo box, because that's going to be fun, man. That's going to be fun.
I got a question for you. Did you trademark 7 hours of commercial-free football yet?
Not yet.
You need to. You need
in the works. In the works. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but yeah, no, I put those things together because for a couple of reasons. One, my catchphrases, I developed them because I wanted something that would be a hook for the audience, right? Great sports shows and sportscasters throughout time have had something that, Brent Musburger's "You Are Looking Live," or, Chris Berman had a whole encyclopedia of them. I'm not going to go that far, but different people had their phrases. And I'm like, when we start this Red Zone show, and we just finished season 15. So in the first year, I'm like, this is really, really special. We need to encapsulate it in some way that the audience knows what they're about to see, even if they can see it on their channel guide that, it starts at 1:00 and it doesn't end until 8:00. That's 7 straight hours and there's no commercials and it's football. I'm just going to put it all together and just say it. And now people tell me they have a Pavlovian response when I say 7 hours of commercial-free football start now. Or I say, let's go to the Octo Box. 8 games across the National Football League. We have action and da-da-da-da-da. Or when I say the witching hour, when wins become losses and losses become wins. And that's really gratifying that the audience has that emotional attachment with little phrases that I've come up with. And yeah, I think we should sell shirts and we ought to get you guys one to hang there in the studio.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
All three of us.
My wife is Mexican and does not know American football. She doesn't like it.
Okay.
But guess what? When I told her we were interviewing SCOTT HANSON, she's like, who is that? I was like, the guy who says 7 hours of commercial-free football starts now. She knew exactly who it was.
When you just said it in your voice, I speak for everyone in this room, and we're obviously not talking to each other right now, but we all want to run through a wall, and we want to get to September.
Fired up already.
Real
Fired
quick,
up for the season to start.
Before you go, I know we're limited on time. We just have one last question. You were just in town for the draft, your hometown. It was a hit. It goes without saying it was a hit for everybody. What was the reception internal in your circle? Because you're in the inner circle. How well received was it amongst your people?
Let me tell you this, to everyone that's watching this in Detroit, Metro Detroit, the state of Michigan, and the whole Midwest. I spoke to basically the entire brain trust of the NFL the day before the draft began. So Wednesday morning, they asked me to give a little pep talk to the whole team that's been working for months and weeks and days leading up to the draft to make this event the best it could be. And there were people from the city of Detroit, officials from the city of Detroit on this Zoom. And I remember saying, I said, gang, I know you're going to think I'm saying this because, I'm a native Detroiter, but I said, you watch. if we shine the spotlight on this city, the city will shine itself. The city, the people, the energy, the history, the buildings, the everything you watch. And it was so awesome to see on Thursday night, day one, that it was, as packed as it was, but you expect that for round one. When we got into round 2 and 3, day 2, so rounds 2 and 3, I started texting people from New York, NFL headquarters, saying, what are we looking at here? And what's the record? What's the all-time record? And again, that's still kind of estimated. I mean, there's there's the app that you got in, your phone and whatnot that could say if you were inside or whatnot, but they have different ways of looking at the crowd to determine actually how many people are there. And they hit me back and they said 600,000 Nashville 2019. And I said, that thing's going down.
Yeah.
That thing is going down. I even tweeted it out. I said, Detroit, this was mid-round 2 or 3. I tweeted out, Detroit can break the all-time attendance record. And oh man, am I thrilled that Detroit showed out like that. Just what a showcase for our great city in front of the rest of the entire sports world.
Real quick. 1, did you grow up a Lions fan? 2, as bad as the Lions have been, what was this season like for you being part of being in the NFL Network and seeing them actually really get this close? And the third one, do you think that Detroit's draft performance will lead to us getting another Super Bowl first time since 2006?
Okay. Let's see. The first one, yes, I grew up a Lions fan, and I'm old enough, boys. I don't know your ages. I go back to the Billy Sims Lions.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm a little older than you, so yeah, I know exactly.
My brother and I
down there.
My brother and I used to move our couch in our living room, take the cushions off of the couch and put them onto the floor and run down the linoleum kitchen hallway to jump over the top of the pile with a football. And we called our game Billy Sims Over the Top. For you kids watching, YouTube it. Billy Sims, first and goal from the 1, it was touchdown, automatic. He could leap over anything and everything. LaDainian Tomlinson's the only thing I think I've seen since then who had a nose for the end zone to be able to squeak through in whatever way. But so, yeah, I go back to the Billy Sims era, obviously the Barry Sanders era. I went to Syracuse in the early 90s. So Detroit, I started moving on in my life and my career. So Detroit truly right now, they are one of 32 teams to me. And it's not like I can't have a favorite team, but I get to know some of the guys that play in the NFL. So I root for individuals sometimes if I know them personally. But the second part of your question to, this year's NFL or this year's Lions squad, the way that they, made a deep playoff run and should have made it to the Super Bowl was unbelievable. And I was so happy. And I was even cheering for the Lions, part because of my history, but then part because my high school buddies still live and die with Detroit. And I wanted them to be happy, even though they were all going to hit me up or try and hit me up for Super Bowl tickets if the Lions made it. But this Dan Campbell squad, and they look built to last, guys. They look to last in the NFL 2 or 3 years is a heck of a good run, but they look like they could have some staying power here. They got to figure out, they're going to see if they're going to do another contract with Goff, but signing Amon-Ra, signing Penei Sewell, those are cornerstones of the franchise and some of the elite players at their respective positions. The defense is young and up and coming. If they hit anything close like last year's draft with this year's crop, this could be a Super Bowl team this year. That's exciting. And lastly, you said, did the draft maybe grease the skids for a Super Bowl? I think it absolutely opened some eyes, or maybe reopened some eyes for Detroit. Ford Field is still it really starts with the infrastructure in the city to host a Super Bowl. The infrastructure in a city, hotel space and entertainment venues and things like that. But the stadium, and Ford Field is still an excellent, excellent stadium. And when it comes to passion and the desire to put on an event where the rest of the sports world or the rest of the world is watching, Detroit came out with flying colors. Still a bit of a hurdle, January, February, Detroit weather is a hurdle to overcome, but I don't see why Detroit won't be talked about in those owners' meetings rooms when they look at another Super Bowl 5, 6, 7 years down the road.
Well,
Okay.
you heard it here first. We're in the running, at least. We're at least close to being in the running.
Well, it's up to the Ford family to submit the bid. The Ford family and the city of Detroit have to submit the bid, but I'm sure after what they saw, they're going to want to do that again.
Hopefully. And God, we'd love to see it. We would absolutely love to see it. If you don't have RedZone, you're probably living under a rock, but you most definitely need to tune into RedZone every Sunday throughout this NFL season, because it is probably the highlight of like 6 months out of the year for me, is hearing this man's voice come on my TV.
That's it. I don't even watch games anymore. I
know.
Watch RedZone. That's it.
Same. I think
I
a lot
haven't
of
watched
people are
game
like
in
that.
years.
100%.
Thank you, guys.
And, we will all be rooting for the Iron Bladders this year. I had to throw that one in. And also, make sure to tune into Gold Zone on Peacock during the Olympics, because you'll get to see his beautiful face there as well. And if you don't watch TV and you want to watch it on your phone, you can get the NFL Plus app and get some RedZone going on there as well.
True facts.
I really want to just say thank you so much for taking some time to come here with us today. It was awesome to get your side of things. And
If he's ever in town, come and
if you're ever in
please
town,
in.
come see us for sure. But
Well, you never know. We could bump into each other in a restaurant, Sam.
That's it.
that's it. That's it. Scott,
All right,
thank you
Sam,
so much.
Sal,
We really appreciate it.
Zolo,
Appreciate
my
it.
thanks, and
Thank you.
no problem, guys. Have a great rest of the off season.
Hey, thank you. You
Thank
as well.
Sarah. Take care.
Not only was that probably our most important interview to date, but I think it was also our best one. I enjoyed so much talking to him, because when you're watching him on Sundays, right, that's one thing. But for him to be as animated, as friendly, as talkative as he is on Sundays in this sort of a setting, truly unmatched. Great guy. I'm really, really glad we got a chance to sit down with him.
30 minutes nonstop, commercial free.
That's it, man.
That's it.
And he was spot on. And he's got some really cool stuff coming up here with the Olympics. You guys want to check that out on Peacock?
Do you guys actually watch
I
the
think
bullshit
it's
during the
amazing.
Olympics?
I do. Listen, I used to watch it regularly.
Yeah.
One of my favorite announcers of all time used to do the Olympics, Jim Lampley,
Jim Lampley.
So
who
I'm more.
does the supreme. There's nobody that has a hold of the English vocabulary like Jim Lampley.
Mm-hmm.
He's incredible. He's fucking incredible.
I think you might give him a run for his money.
No.
I prefer Winter Olympics to Summer Olympics.
Okay, fair, but and I've actually made that argument before too, but I'll say this much. I love the gymnastics. The drama of the gymnastics is incredible. When Michael Phelps was okay, both of them, 08 and 12 were incredible. Seeing Michael Phelps go after those medals in the Olympics, and the photo finish in 08 when he was going against the Australians that were talking shit, and him and Ryan Lochte ended up winning. Listen,
That guy's a weirdo.
there's a lot I love about the Olympics, but I feel you on the winter. There's nothing
Curling.
better. There's nothing better than Winter Olympic hockey. There's nothing better than that. It's better than the basketball. What'd you say?
That I can get by.
Oh, there's no. It's one of the highest levels of sport in the world because it's the
I
only
remember
time
watching
it's best on
Ted
best.
Plassett
Snowboarding.
on TV live, watching that hockey game when they beat Russia.
The Miracle on Ice.
The Miracle on Ice. I remember watching that live on TV.
Yeah.
What'd you say about snowboarding?
It would be hockey and snow, like the hat, like the.
Those
hat
are your
fight
top
too,
two?
stuff.
Curling's great.
Smoked up.
I
and
fell
snowboard.
in love with curling.
I didn't understand curling until recently, and I've been watching it since
Bobsledding.
2002. Did you know?
Bobsled.
Bobsled.
Bobsled is a
good.
great time. Yeah.
Did you know with the curling? Okay, do you know why they call it curling? Obviously, they're trying to make the stones curl. Do you know what's happening? Do you know what's going on? For again, from 2002 until I don't know 2018 when they were in Korea, I had no clue what was going on. Okay, so obviously they're moving those
It's like
brooms.
bocce, but with rocks.
Yes,
Yes.
I understand. Did you know that the ice, and you're going to be like, yeah, I fucking knew that. The ice itself, but before each match, they spray it. So the water is beaded, okay? It's like rough. And that's what they're curling. They're trying to whittle down that. I didn't know that. I thought they were throwing it and it wasn't beaten. It was just a sheet of ice. So once I knew that, I appreciated it a lot more. And I would love, if you ever want to go, I know there's one in Birmingham, but I know there's endless ones in Windsor. If you guys ever want to go curling, I would love to do that.
Tipped curling. There we go. Will you join us for tip curling?
No.
You could be our skipper. You're the skip.
No, I
you
don't.
throw the stone.
I don't curl.
One interesting thing I saw on here is Olympic trampoline.
They just jump on a trampoline. It's a form of gymnastics. It's a form of gymnastics.
Olympic
I
trampoline.
actually like the Summer Olympics. I love all the races, the sprints. I still remember Usain Bolt, who nobody could beat this guy
Incredible.
for fucking 5-6 Olympics
Yeah.
because he was just so good. And I remember every American that went into them races and got their ass kicked and got a kick bad. Even all the guys that we thought were fast and they weren't.
He was must-see TV, Bolt.
Yeah, he just.
You want to know
every
what we
year,
need to get into?
He was amazing.
We need to get into Olympic fencing. We need to have a fencing part.
I would love to fence for real without any padding.
Hey, we might have to, come August, we might have to do tipped rings.
I'd like to do fencing.
A little Olympic coverage.
I'm down.
I think we should get one of those little boards. In fact, Botcher's got me on a mission to make him a board so he could throw axes at it. That's my next venture, is to make an axe throwing board.
You know what? We started this podcast right around Olympic time
Yes, we did.
because we were reporting the Olympics.
We were reporting on the Olympics. You're right.
02 would have been, or 22, right? The winter? 22 winter?
Was it winter?
It was a winter.
Oh, could have 21.
21.
The 20 Olympics moved to 21 in Tokyo.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah, the lost Olympics.
Who cares about shit? But anyway,
I just want to say thanks again to Scott Hanson for joining us today. That was awesome time, awesome interview. And hopefully we got much more content like that coming here very, very soon. But other than that, do you have anything to add before we go?
No.
Zolo, anything? Bruce? Then thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure to check us out on YouTube and subscribe. Make sure to ring the bell so you know when we go live, unless we're doing an interview, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, sometime around 5. Thank you guys so much for watching.